Hi everyone, it's Lindsay from Crafting While Caffeinated blog and YouTube channel, and I'm super excited to be on the Splitcoaststampers blog and YouTube channel today, sharing how to make your own glitter paper. Now this is kind of a no-shed glitter paper. It's really easy to make. All you're going to need is some gel medium. I'm using gloss. I'll also show you what the matte gel looks like. Some glitter, cardstock, a palette knife, and then you're also going to need some sort of mixing surface. For my mixing surface, I'm just using a stencil blank. It's essentially a piece of plastic. That's all you really need to do some mixing on. Something that will kind of just hold your product and let your work area get a little less messy. What you want to do is take a dollop of your gel medium, whether you're using gloss, whether you're using matte. The gloss is going to give you a glossy finish. The matte will give you a matte finish. It's all about what you're wanting. Then, with your palette knife, start mixing in some glitter. You can use whatever color of glitter you want. Now, for this technique, fine glitter works the best. You can use a larger glitter. Just know that if you try to die cut this glitter paper, you might have some pieces of glitter that just won't cut because they're a larger plastic area. So just keep that in mind. Now the only thing that is going to be coloring this gel is the glitter. So I am going to add quite a bit here and just continue to mix it until I get a nice gritty surface. Now it's going to still hold together as a gel, but when I kind of spread it out, I won't be able to see any white area. That is the perfect consistency. Then once you get it there, once you've added enough glitter, and it always takes a little bit more than what you're expecting, then you go ahead and start smoothing it onto your cardstock. A heavyweight cardstock works best for this because you are adding quite a bit of a wet product to it. So I'm just going to spread this out. Do the best you can and try to make it as smooth as possible. And just continue spreading it out with your palette knife, making it one even layer across the entire piece of cardstock. Now, I like to use this smaller palette knife for this. I feel like I have more control. However, if you don't have a palette knife, you can use an old credit card or any kind of scraper, even like a putty knife would work really well for this. So once I have it completely filled up with glitter, I'm going to go ahead and set this aside to dry. Now, before you let it dry, along the edges, you might want to run your finger or the palette knife along the edge just to get up any pieces that are kind of hanging off there and grabbing on. That's just going to give it a nice clean look once it's all said and done. Now, this doesn't take too long to dry, maybe a half an hour to an hour, depending on how thick it is. But once it dries, you have this gorgeous, shiny glitter paper that you can die cut. You can cut to fit whatever size you want it to, and it doesn't really shed. The great thing about that gel medium is it acts as a glue and it kind of seals everything in. So I can run my finger along this, I can brush it, I can do anything I want with it, and it's not going to shed. Now, like I said earlier, this is die cuttable. What I like to do is go ahead and put it into my die cutting machine with whatever die I'm using. Then, because this is going to have a little bit more pressure on it because it's a thicker paper, I want to protect the surface area of that shiny glitter paper so it doesn't lose any of its shine by having that pressure put on it. So I just protect it with a piece of scrap paper. Any scrap paper will do. Just make sure it's thin so you're not adding a ton of extra pressure through this already thick sandwich. But you can see I ran this through my die cutting machine. You might have a few places that stick. If you do, just gently caress them out or use a craft knife to get them the rest of the way out. But it even picked up the embossing on that die that I used. Now, like I said, if you don't have gloss gel medium, you might have matte gel medium. That will work as well. Just remember, kind of go with the names. This is going to give you more of a matte finish. What I like to do is the same exact thing that I did before. I put a dollop down and then I start to mix in my glitter a little bit at a time until I get the consistency that I want. Again, I am just looking for not a whole lot of white showing through as I spread this out, and a nice gritty texture. You're going to be able to feel that texture as you kind of scrape along and mix in with your palette knife. And it's kind of something you'll get the feel for as you do this. So if you make a swatch of this glitter paper and you feel like you didn't add enough glitter, you'll know next time that you want to add a little bit more, get more of a gritty texture when you go and you mix this up. And you do not have to use expensive glitter. When I was mixing this up, I showed at the very beginning, I am using some glitter that I found in the Target dollar spot. A lot of times during the holidays, they will have these little vials almost of glitter. It's a fine glitter. And I just grab a few of those if I ever see it. They're only $1, so it goes a long way. So I'm going to go ahead and spread this mixture out onto my piece of cardstock. I'm using heavyweight white cardstock and just spreading out until I get a nice thin even layer. Then again, I'll set this aside to dry. It doesn't take too awfully long. It does dry pretty quickly. And then once it dries, you're going to be left with a matte shiny paper, which is a lot of fun too. Not as sparkly as the gloss, but it's still a gorgeous, gorgeous look. And just like with the gloss, because you use that gel medium, it seals everything in and it's not really going to shed on you at all unless you kind of cut into it with something. So I die cut this with a heart die from Cat Scrappiness. That's a zigzag heart. And then I just framed it with the same die that I used to die cut it out with. I love this to use as a backdrop for other die cut sentiments on top of it. And I love to use it for little bitty elements. I also use this to die cut a little heart for one of my critters to hold on another card. Now, this is something else I wanted to share with you that you can do to make this glitter paper as well. Instead of putting it on just a plain white cardstock, you can also put this on a piece of acetate. Now, what this is going to do is give you a nice smooth surface on one side. So if you feel like you're not capable of getting a nice smooth surface by just using your palette knife or an old credit card to smooth it out on a piece of cardstock, this is super easy to do. All you need is a piece of acetate. Mix up your mixture with whether you're using the gloss gel medium, the matte gel medium, whatever you want to use. Mix it up and then spread it across your piece of acetate. Try to make it as smooth as possible, but what you really want to do here is just make sure that you don't have any clear pieces showing through unless that's the look you're going for. It'll give you more of a distressed look, so I'll show you both here. I'm going to just remove a little bit of that excess, and then once it dries, you're left with this gorgeous glitter paper. Now, one side is great. It's got a little bit of texture, but the thing with this is if you flip it over to the other side, you still have the gorgeous glitter paper, but you have that piece of plastic that gives it a nice smooth surface with no texture. Plus, this is really going to seal in that glitter. It's not going anywhere with this plastic on top of it, plus the gel medium on the back holding it all in place. I like to use this and just cut it into strips and use it along the edges of my cards just to give my cards a little bit of shine, and it adds a really beautiful touch, but that glitter isn't going to shed or go anywhere else on the card, which you can sometimes get with a normal glitter paper. I hope this video inspired you guys to make some of your own glitter paper with the products you have on hand. Here's a look at all the cards I made with my own glitter paper. Happy crafting, everyone!